This episode is brought to you by Rev1. Rev1's mission is to help entrepreneurs build great companies. As you navigate the waters of business entrepreneurship, you don't have to go it alone. A strategic partnership with Rev1 connects innovators to the talent, customers, space, and funding you need when you need it. Get started with Rev1 Startup Studio by visiting rev1ventures.com to learn more. Again, the website is rev1ventures.com. "614 Startups Nation, welcome to another episode of the 614 Startups Podcast. 614 Startups is a community of founders raising capital between the coasts. You can join our fast-growing community by visiting www.614startups.com to sign up for our newsletter, and we encourage you to follow us on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. To help our message reach other founders like yourself, we kindly ask that you subscribe to our YouTube channel and on all major podcasting platforms. All right, now, the announcement out of the way. Without further delay, I'd like to introduce my very special guest, Ethan Dewhurst, aka Ethan Dewhurst of Vohnt. Ethan, welcome to the show.
Thanks, man. Happy to be here and loving your energy. I'm loving it.
Yeah, man. So we run into each other in real life from time to time over at Gravity. And you've participated in Pitch Columbus, right, where you talk to us about Vohnt and the promise that you're making at that community to transform automotive care. But it's great to have you on the podcast for the first time, man. So welcome.
I appreciate it.
All right. So I always like to start, you and I run into each other all the time, right? But I don't want to assume for a moment that folks who are watching you here know who you are. So let's start with, who is Ethan Dewhurst and why did you choose to become an entrepreneur?
Yeah, good question. So I'm an Ohio boy. I kind of grew up half New England, half Ohio, but mostly roots here in Ohio. And, my journey to become an entrepreneur is kind of sporadic. It started off more like of a selfish goal of, hey, I want enough money to be able to do this, or hey, I want to be able to do this. And like, what's the quickest way to do that? An hourly job or create a business that would let me have a quick savings to accomplish a goal when I was a kid, whether that be buy a scooter, a bike, or saving up to go to the South Africa World Cup. I'm a big soccer guy, so when I was 16, I created a juggling business to be able to afford tickets to go to the FIFA World Cup when I was in South Africa. And so it's kind of like started off just being more selfish, into like just how do I meet this one goal, and then once I made it, it's kind of like done. And then it turned it into more a problem-solving addiction to, hey, this is something that's bothering me or my friends. How do I solve this and kind of scratch my creative itch? And that kind of led me into the media industry, which is where I spent most of my entrepreneur careers in the video marketing industry.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. That entrepreneur bug sounds like it bit you really early. It was primarily driven by the desire to acquire things quickly, which is fine, right? That's perfectly okay. And this is my first time hearing that one of the drives was to go to the World Cup. And so when I was coming up, I'm originally from Liberia, West Africa, and soccer is everything, right? And the World Cup is something that people look forward to every 4 years. So tell me about that experience in South Africa. What I could remember about that is it called the vuvuzelas? Like, what's the horn that they were making all that noise with?
The vuvuzelas, it was crazy. It was something else. It just like you were in a beehive anytime you went to the stadium. It was just nonstop. It was something else.
Crazy. I'm sure that was an amazing experience in person. I think we have Qatar coming up. Are you going to go to the World Cup in Qatar? Qatar? Am I saying that right?
Qatar.
Or Qatar?
Yeah, Qatar.
Yeah.
No, I'm not. I'm looking forward to. I mean, the U.S. Should have a decent squad. Last World Cup was pretty disappointing with not a representation from our country, but this year should be pretty exciting. It should be. I think it's mid-November is when it starts in Qatar.
All right, not to stick on soccer for too long. Do we know where our grouping for the World Cup? Where are we? Do we know?
We do know. It's been announced, but I don't. Not off the top of my head.
Okay, all right, guys. If you're a soccer fan, comment in the comment section Where's the U.S.? What group are they playing in? And hopefully it's not Group D, the group of death. All right. Every single World Cup, you don't want to be in that group. It's pretty tough to get out of it. All right. Soccer aside, I know some of the motivation to become an entrepreneur early on was about, hey, 9 to 5 is not really going to get it. There are other options out there for me. The transition from acquiring things to solving problems. Why do you think that transition is important? I think for a lot of first-time founders, maybe they're still in that I'm doing this to acquire something. Why do you think that that mindset is very important to switch from the acquisition of things being the reason to the solving of problems? Why is that important?
I think anyone who has had a little bit of success can speak to this. It's not rewarding. It really isn't rewarding. So if you're just looking to acquire something or to have things, whether that be financial or objects, it's not rewarding. So I think the switch to problem solving is, hey, can I change an industry? Hey, can I change this small thing that makes my life easier or the people around me, or can they do it on an industry-wide level? That's exciting because it's hard, and it has an impact beyond yourself. If you can find a way to profit off of it, that's fantastic. And I love to turn my hobbies into businesses. And then, taking that further is now how do I solve a problem that's going to last well beyond me? And this industry is very difficult to kind of break through and very difficult to change, but it makes the impact of what we're doing so much more rewarding. And we've had a lot of success when it comes to different rounds of how people determine success. But the thing that's driving us is the change, the legacy, and the ability to really make a difference that is going to be felt well beyond our time at Vohnt. And so that's a lot more rewarding than a financial gain or a one-time kind of collect and leave. So that would be my reason.
Okay, awesome, man. And so I'm going to squeeze you for a little bit of free consulting before we talk about Vohnt. So you cut your teeth in the video marketing business. Am I on the right track with keeping 614 Startups a video podcast? All right. Because sometimes it's like, I got to get the lighting right. I got to get the sound right. There's a whole lot of, After Effects and all of that stuff that I have to do. It's a ton of work. Sometimes I'm on the fence, like, man, should I just go back to our roots and just do audio? Make the case, man. Inspire me to keep 614 Startups on video.
There's one reason to do that, and that's going to be your output. If you have audio, you only have one output. If you have video, you can have dozens of outputs with your content. And so you can snippet this. If your guest said one cool thing, you take that. You can't put that on Instagram with just an audio unless you have some audio, if you add a visual component, which is going to be more work in the edit. So if you have video content, you can disperse that into be a library from, Gary Vee made that famous, is taking one long form piece and then turning it into hundreds of content pieces. So I think the video aspect is huge because it allows you to diversify your content with one production piece.
That's awesome, man. I'll take it. All right. Even though I'm still grinding it out here as a content creator, I will take your advice and I will stick with video. So more to come. And your advice too. Clip this up. So I'm going to create some clips from this and we will definitely put it out. All right. So let's pivot to Vohnt. Andrew, who is your co-founder, was on the show, but it's been close to a year now. So we got to remind the folks, what is Vohnt? What problem are you solving? Who do you solve it for? And why does it matter?
Yeah, so Voht's a valet on-demand car care company. Really, the problem we're solving is you never have to go to the shop again. We hated taking our cars to the mechanic, and there's no upselling. You never know what you're going to get when you take your car to the mechanic. There's always going to be going for an oil change, and it's going to be a $10,000 charge, or try an attempt for a charge unless your car is going to blow up, And so there's always that hold hostage upsell approach. So I can't think of anybody I've ever talked to that says, I really do like taking my car to the mechanic. It's just a necessary evil. And so that's kind of where it spawned from. It's just years and years of just hating it and saying, hey, there's a better solution, on a business model wise. But we're not seeing that in the industry right now, because it goes against kind of like where they make their bread and butter, and that's in the upselling. So if you cut out that, you increase the customer's experience, but you decrease your profits, and you're kind of capping yourself. So that's really what we're trying to solve. We're trying to make car care pleasant and really frictionless, stress-free, and contactless. 24/7 car care at a touch of a button is kind of our goal.
Yeah, and I resonate with that, right? Because there's two things about car care. It's one, a convenience thing, like finding the time in all of our busy schedule to actually get it to the shop. And it's the mystery once that hood gets opened and you're in the lobby with the old coffee trying to say, like, when is this guy going to come back and tell me I need 15 new windshield wipers, right? So let's start with the convenience issue of just getting there. Why did you guys choose to tackle that problem first? The issue of being a valet, coming to me and getting my vehicle.
Yeah, so if you think about the current business models out there, there's you go to the shop, or a service provider comes to you, and that would be like the mobile, right? Or drive-through, which would be like a Valvoline, right? So both of those kind of require your time. If you go to the shop, you have to take the time out of the day. You have to take the car there, and you have to be without the car while you're there. So it's really on your time. And usually that's after work. That's when you should be hanging out with your family. That's when you should be doing things that are important to you, because that time's precious. The time that you're at work, you don't really own that depending on your situation. So spending any time outside of that is really valuable time. And then the other option is mobile, where they'll come to you. Well, usually that's in the suburbs. That means it's at your house. You still have that inconvenience. You still see it. It's getting outlawed by more and more home associations. They can't really service parking garages or cities because it's on a slope, and it really is a capped market because it takes so many vehicles to not really handle that many. So our valet model is designed to really service our customers' cars on their time, the car's time, not on the customer's time. And really it's when the cars are idle. So it's when they're sitting in the parking garages while they work or sleep or travel. That's when we pick up the car, we service it and return it within 3 hours, so that the person never has to take time out of their day. The car's already sitting there, so they go to work, we pick up the car. When they leave work, the car's sitting there, it's pretty, the tank's full, the oil is changed, the wiper blades are replaced, whatever service they may have selected, without adding anything to their to-do list. And then after they're done with work, they can go do what they want to do. And that's really what it is providing freedom back to the consumer without the hassle of the former car care solution.
Yeah, the company that immediately comes to mind that I feel execute on this very, very well is SafeLight. You get the crack in your windshield driving down the freeway, right? Immediately, I think SafeLight, because I don't have to go drop my vehicle off, right, to get my windshield replaced. I need my car. I need to get to work. So while I'm working, right, I could have my windshield repaired or replaced. So I don't know if SafeLight is a Columbus company. 614 Startups Nation. Oh, they are. Okay. Yeah. So these are folks who've proven that this model of valet care, this convenience, right, of service, there's a market for it. So I love that. Now,
yeah,
I'm guessing.
Really. So that's a mobile. They'll come to you and service it right there, which works really good for windshield because it's one thing, they can pop it up, but they can't like service the actual vehicle. So that would fit under the mobile service because they come to you. We do come to you, but we pick up the car, service it, and return it, right? But what they're doing is fantastic. What they're doing is fantastic, and the services they provide, they can do that. The services like oil change, detailing, gas top off, we're able to provide so many services because we can do the valet component versus the mobile component, and there's a lot of benefits to that. Here's a shout out to another local Midwest company. Do you know Cluster Truck?
No, I don't.
Okay. You got to try Cluster Truck. Cluster Truck is fantastic. They are America's first delivery only kitchen. And so they're not Grubhub, they're not DoorDash, and they're not just a ghost kitchen that, supplies those vehicles. What they do is they do all of the cooking and they do all the delivery. And so when you think about Vohnt, it's very similar. We are the cluster truck to car care. but their food is fantastic. You order it right on their app. The food comes. It's very affordable, delicious. Get their buffalo mac and cheese. Check it out. It's really good. But our models are very similar.
All right. Cluster Truck, holla at your boy. Now, your name is really close to, if I have a Freudian slip on here, I could lose some of my sponsors. That Cluster Truck, you got to be careful with pronouncing that. All right, man, listen. Ethan, another thing about your valet service that I love is all the research that went into if you are indeed going to pick up somebody's car and you're promising that quick service. You guys did a lot of studying about how you would pick up that car and get it back to me in time. So it's not only convenient, but it's timely, right? You do a great job, but it gets back to me. What was that process like that you had to go through to make sure you could deliver on that promise?
Yeah, so that promise is we pick up service and return within 3 hours. And that's crazy. It's crazy that, especially when it's not just a detail. Sometimes it's a detail, it's an oil change, gas top off, tire rotation, what it may be. How do we do that? That's the major question. That's our kind of bread and butter. So a year and a half before we even launched, before we even kind of like serviced, we did a lot of research, and we knew that to be able to change the industry, we needed to make it more affordable, and we needed to make it more convenient. Both of those come down to one factor, and that's time. So how do we make sure that this is the most efficient process on the market? So what we did is we actually hired several individuals from a few different NASCAR, IndyCar, and drag race pit crews, come in for a few months, and we told them the quality standard that we wanted to hit. This is the Vohnt quality standard, that we've been able to put together for the past 6 months prior to that. How do we meet this quality at the quickest time possible? So they spent 3 months, maybe a little over, kind of developing our processes, running it back, changing it in, where we put our equipment, how do we set up our base, so that way when the car comes in, our team is just going at it, doing the quality we need at the time we need, so that way we can offer the low prices we offer with the convenience we offer. And so that was a really exciting process, and that just kind of goes back to like what we love as being entrepreneurs is problem solving. So coming at it at a really different angle. Who does cars quicker? No one does cars quicker than professional pit crews. So it just made common sense for us, but kind of taking it from a different angle, and then being able to bring that on a consumer level and be able to build out a process that we can then train our employees to do that on a repetitive basis, and making sure that our quality is at the level we want, at the consistency we want, in a way that would make us proud and make our customers happy. So that was kind of our origin story. Once we got the times down through that system, that's when we knew we had something, and we really started grinding after that.
Okay, so let me ask you this. All right, thinking about a pit crew, it looks very, very super organized, right? It's like everybody comes out at the same time, but there is an order in which these things happen. So let's say you're picking up my vehicle and I need an oil change, right? And so your valet location, or your valet comes to me, picks up the key, and goes back to you. What is that process like of assessing the thing that I've requested, right, versus the thing that I need, but is not an upsell? So how do you think about that process? Because one of the things you want to be careful of is not the upsell or the feeling of a traditional repair shop. We want to avoid that. So how do you balance the two? The thing that I've called you for, plus all of the other things that I need, assessing all of those issues and still keeping your promise of within 3 hours.
Yeah, so there's a balance to that. So as far as the process is, the car comes in, it gets in, before we even pick up the car, we take up our insurance photos that are location stamped, time stamped, like what is the condition pre. The valet has an understanding of the condition of the vehicle. The car is brought to our downtown service center. It gets an inspection, a free inspection, comes through, just say, hey, what are the options? Now, any other shop offers free inspections, but they weaponize the free inspection to then upsell you on something. We will never upsell you on something you didn't order. And it's really, really important for us. And so finding that balance of, hey, this actually is a safety concern. You didn't order it. I don't know if I want to say this on the podcast, but we usually just do it. And so I don't want people to take advantage of that. But like if there's like your bumper's loose or your something's up with your tire, our team is instructed to take care of it and let the customer know. And so, or vice versa, let the customer know, get their permission to take care of it. And they ask, how much was that? We say it's on us. And so that is not something that we do on obviously major things that they need, but it's another touch point that we strive to do and make sure we go above and beyond, because retention is our biggest focus. We're not trying to build a service that people kind of use us once a year. We want to make it so affordable, so convenient that we have a good retention rate, which has been very successful. We've had a great team to be able to do that. Our repeat customers is almost 60%. Our retention rate's above 90, and then our conversion from one-time users to monthly users is 18%, so just under 20%.
That's great, man. So, so let me ask you this before we go into the break. Give me the full rundown of your services, like all of the things I could possibly get when you pick up my vehicle.
Interior and exterior detailing, gas top off, both unleaded and premium. Full synthetic oil change comes with free filter, fluid top off, wiper blades, tire rotation, tire inflation. And those are our main services. We also have, we are releasing an online store for car products as well. But as far as our service line, those are our main orders.
All right, Ethan, man. So much information, but very, very good information. If you're out there and you know that check engine light is on, or, you know, it's somebody's birthday and you've been meaning to get that car detailed, Ethan is saying that Vohnt can make that process easy. So when we come back from the break, we're going to figure out, if I need one of the services you provide, how do I get a hold of you? Where can my car be picked up across the city? And some of the partnerships that you've been working on now that you're excited about announcing. All right, folks, you've been listening to the 614 Startups podcast. I'm Elio Harmon. I'm speaking with my guest, Ethan Dewhurst of Vohnt. We'll be right back after these messages. This episode is brought to you by KJK. Tired of the billable hour? KJK has a solution. The KJK GC Advantage program offers businesses comprehensive legal services in the areas of employment, corporate services, real estate, trademark, intellectual property, and estate planning, all for a set monthly fee. KJK serves as their clients' partners in business, not just their lawyers. Along with cost certainty and predictability, the KJK GC Advantage program gives clients peace of mind, knowing their projects will be handled quickly and efficiently, maximizing the return on investment on their legal spend. So don't go it alone. Let KJK help. Learn more by visiting kjk.com. Support for the 614 Startups podcast comes from Nationwide. Nationwide's mission is to protect people, businesses, and futures with extraordinary care. To help fulfill that mission, Nationwide is looking to invest its $350 million venture capital investment fund in insurtechs that will help them create new and exciting products and solutions to meet the needs of their customers. If you're interested in partnering with Nationwide's venture capital team, visit nationwideventures.com to learn more. Again, the website is nationwideventures.com. Nationwide is on your side. 614 Startups Nation, welcome back to my conversation with Ethan Dewhurst, aka Ethan Vohnt, the man who changed his name to be on brand of Vohnt. All right, Ethan, folks are getting excited, right? That car that they need to service, check engine light, whatever, you know, wiper blades, not even, it's just moving the water around, right? It's not even wiping the windshield at this point. Safety issues around their vehicle, but they're putting it off. All right. If they want to engage with you, they want to get your service, they want to have their car picked up, what do they need to do?
So really, it's just go down to vohnt.com, VOHNT.com. Really just a mobile-friendly experience. Our goal is to get it done in 3 clicks. So you click your service, you click your date and time and location, and you press book. But it's vohnt.com. Everything is on there. And then it's really comes down to location. So we are a downtown centralized service. Our service center is downtown. And so our primary service agreements are with businesses downtown, apartments downtown, hotels downtown. So if you work at businesses downtown are in our zip codes, our valets come to you, bring it to our service center, service the vehicle, and return it in 3 hours. But it's as simple as book, drop, enjoy, and that's really what we want to do is keep it to 3 steps. So you book it at Vohnt.com. Our valet comes, picks it up, and then we drop off the vehicle fully serviced in 3 hours.
Okay, so in terms of service area, right? For right now, what's your service area? I'm thinking Columbus 270 represents kind of the inner belt, right? Or outer belt, but it feels we're not a huge city. So what's your service area so people can get some sense of how far out you go?
Yeah, 270 is a great guideline. We don't go outside 270, but that doesn't mean we do everything within 270. So there's some parts of New Albany, Dublin, et cetera, that are technically inside of 270 that we don't go to. Really think downtown and anything touching downtown, German Village, Bexley, Grandview, a little bit of Upper Arlington, really downtown focused.
Yeah, and the mobile app or the website really helps us kind of understand whether or not we were within that footprint. So you'll come to my home if I'm within that footprint, but you'll also pick up from certain locations. So explain the location strategy, not only in terms of the locations where if I work, I could have my vehicle picked up there, but also the locations where you have partnerships.
Yeah, so we have partnerships with a lot of downtown businesses and parking garages, partnerships with LAZ Parking, SP Plus Parking, who are the majority management partners of the service lots and garages downtown. So we will come to people's houses to pick up if they are in our service area, but the majority of our services are to downtown businesses, apartments, and hotels. And so if you work at the Huntington Tower, you work at Fifth Third National or Fifth Third Bank or Nationwide, for example, we can service those cars quite easily. And then apartments, like you mentioned, Gravity. Our key boxes are in Gravity. And we have a lot of really exciting partners coming up here very soon. That's going to really be a huge boost into the amount of cars that we do each and every day, each month. And it's going to be very exciting.
Okay, man. So, it's intuitive if you're coming to my house. I obviously need to be there, right? I need you to hand you a key. So let's break down the home process so people don't have any illusions about this. So if I call you out to my crib, I need to be there and I need to hand you the key, right? And when you come back, I need to be there to receive the key from you. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yeah, our majority of our orders are business, but after COVID, so many people are working from home. We want to accommodate. So obviously, we're not going to put electric key boxes at each person's house. So we have a valet method there. It's a handoff of the key. We take it, service it, return it, and hand that key off. And that's the same for some businesses that we don't have official partners with as well, or they're not large enough. Or if they are large enough garages, we have electronic key boxes. So after you book a service, you put in your code on the locker, a locker door opens up, you put your key in, you close it, we get a notification that the key is securely in place. Our valets come pick it up, service the car, and then when we return it, we put it back in the locker, shut it, put in our information, and the customer will get a text that the car is done. And that's really what's opening up the contactless car care. So if you want to get to the office at 6 a.m., our valets aren't open at that moment. You don't have to leave a meeting and come down. You can put the key in the locker, and then at the end of the day, come pick it up. And it's a safe, secure system.
All right. So I like what Vohnt is doing because you guys are an organization on multiple levels where you have the pure tech play, where it would just be a mobile app, where you're probably serving as a middle person, right? Where you don't own the garage, right? You're like, just have this pretty cool app You have these valets. We don't service the car, but you guys decided to own the end to end. So you own the app. So you are building the user relationships. You own the service itself, right? So you are actually, Vohnt is actually performing the service, and then you're deploying hardware, right? So these key boxes that people put their key in, and in the recognition of whose key it is. Why did Vohnt decide that you were going to own the entire cycle? Why was that important to you?
One word: trust. We couldn't change an industry if we didn't control the solution. And so there are providers out there that is just the tech company that is saying we will be the middleman to easily book your service, even take them to a shop and service it. But then the customer is going to get those upsell emails. Then we don't know how good the quality is. We didn't feel we could change the industry to the level that we thought it needed to be changed. We didn't think we could build the trust with the consumer the way that we wanted to, unless we controlled it end to end. So we want to be a solution provider and really make this the most convenient process possible. And we can do that from A to Z here with, it's really a tech-enabled business. You know, a smooth tech experience, hardware interaction with a tech-enabled locker, and then our actual service locations. You know, it's a lot of moving parts. It's not easy. We didn't do it because, hey, this is going to be the easy way to do it. We did it because we thought that's what the solution called for.
Now, you mentioned that you decided to own the entire cycle, and control is kind of a strong word, but I understand what you mean by that. Own it, right? So you could be all about the QA and the customer experience. And maybe that's one of the reasons why your customer retention is so high. Let's talk about customer retention, because we have founders all the time who are focused on acquiring customers like we are. We're acquiring advertisers. But man, that retention piece is so important. Let's talk about your business model and how you're able to keep, maintain, and grow such a high customer retention rate.
It really comes down to two things: quality first, connection second. Okay, so obviously they're not going to come back if you're not offering a smooth process and a quality process. So if we are very confident that they're going to love our service, because there's nothing more convenient. Hard pressed to find anything more affordable, and the quality is top notch. You get that car back, you're like, wow, it feels new again. And we never want people to lose that new car feeling. And the other is, after quality, is connection. What do they feel connected to the brand? My background's in marketing, my co-founders' background's in marketing, and we love that aspect. We love building a brand that the consumers feel part of. And that goes down to, our social content, our social interactions, but also mixing it in with our services. We noticed that this car is chewing 5 gum instead of like other companies. And so we have a stack of different gums. And so if they're running out, we just refill them. Little things like that. They know they're noticed. They know they're being taken care of, and that's the connection part. And little things like that, little giveaways. We know people are a certain sports fan downtown. Well, how can we get them to the game? We gave away crew tickets, because we knew these people were crew fans. And so obviously you got to look at the ROI of that long term. You can't be doing that to every single one. But we try to do it on the low end, with as simple as gum, to a high end, getting people to downtown businesses, restaurants like Cluster Truck, or to the crew game, building that connection. So quality of service, connection with the consumer is really a make or break for retention. Do they feel connected to you?
Yeah, Columbus Crew, holla at my man Ethan. He's giving out tickets, all right? He's creating soccer fans, all right? He's creating crew fans on your behalf. Okay, so I like that, and the little things do matter. So how am I paying for this? Am I a subscriber to Vohnt? Am I paying every time I call you? How does that work?
Yeah, so there's several options. We do have a subscription base that gets you an interior and exterior detail every single month, as well as discounts on all services. And that is a recurring subscription. And then on the other end, we just have, if you just want one detail, you just want one oil change, you just go on our website, you select the service you want. It's a one-time thing, no subscription needed, and we'll come service your vehicle. So there's really two options there. And the subscription model is really taking off. Like I said before, 18% of our consumers are switching over to the subscription because we can make it so affordable with our efficiency, and you can't beat our convenience. So we really, one of the major things, if we could make things convenient and affordable, we believed, a couple of years ago before we even started, that we could really change the behavior of the consumers, because people want this, but it's too much of a hassle and it's too expensive. So if we solve those things, we can make the frequency, the cadence of the services way more often. And it's been really rewarding to see that dream or that idea or belief come true.
All right, Ethan, man, can I tempt you to make some news? You talked about some partnerships that you guys have engaged in that are going to, change the trajectory of your business, going to give you an opportunity to serve so many more cars this year or maybe even next year. Can we break some news here? Can you give me an exclusive?
Yeah, absolutely. We've been talking about this for almost a year now, Elio, right? And so it was 9 to 11 months negotiations, back and forth, logistics on contracts. And we have a lot of cool partnerships downtown with some major entities and businesses that we're really pumped about. The one that we are really thrilled to announce here soon that will be, kind of all over the press, print and digital, is our partnership with CMH Airport. So we have an exclusive partnership with the CMH Airport to provide our services to travelers. So it's valet car care while you travel. You come to the airport, you park your car, you drop your key in the box, and you come home to a clean car, full tank, your changed oil, new wiper blades, whatever you think you need. We're really excited about it because there's not a bigger stocked pond than the airport. And so the largest parking garage downtown is 3,700 square feet, 3,700 spaces, right? The amount of parkers in the airport is 5 times that. However, it's not the same people every time. You're dealing with 8.6 million departures. 40% of those are driving their cars. So you're really just above 3 million potential users. And our goal is to service 36,000 vehicles the first year.
Man, listen, congratulations. That's a huge, huge partnership. And we're a city that just continues to grow. So that's just looking at the numbers as they are today, yeah. Right? And as we continue to grow as a city, those numbers are just going to grow exponentially as well. All right, 11 months, nose to the grindstone, trying to close this deal. That's a big success. But let's talk about this entrepreneurial journey where we all get punched in the face, right? Since you've started this company, and they talk all the time in business about the 10-year overnight success, right? All of the mistakes and missteps. What are some things kind of as you think back, like, oh my goodness, starting out, I wish I had known this or done this differently, or some missteps there that you can share with the founders who are listening that you are hard-won lessons of building a business?
Putting in the research, not making lighthearted decisions, I think is going to be really big, especially when our team's growing significantly, 12 plus employees and, several employees each month, especially with the airport coming up. Knowing a lot of people are depending on you, from your management team, your co-founders, all the way down to your associates. So make decisions really based on data. Another thing is not to take advantage of opportunities, but full perspective of the situation. I think is big. I think we thought we were going to grow faster in areas, and we blew up in other areas that we weren't expecting. So how available is your co-founder teams to quickly pivot? to quickly adapt and listen to your consumers. Too many times, myself or other founders are saying, this is the solution. We got to be like headstrong to it. And, I might be right. You guys might be right to an extent, but are you listening, consistently? So making yourself available to your consumers and, taking some with just a grain of salt and letting it go by, but taking some wholeheartedly and saying, okay, we can improve this area and constantly improving, never settling. And I think a lot of people, myself, my past self including, idolize the hustle. Doing a startup or any business is hard. It's draining. It's unhealthy at times, and that's not something to idolize. Something like this takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of mental fitness. It takes a lot of actual fitness. It takes a lot of rest, and that's something that I've had to, people challenge me on, and something that I need to get a lot better on, and hopefully have this year is take care of myself. Don't idolize the grind. Make sure we're getting the sleep we need, because if we're not 100%, we can't handle the stress of it, and we really let a lot of people down. So protect yourself against burnout. So making sure that our motives are right, which is a huge asset when it comes to working against burnout. If we have the right motives, there's always like fuel in the tank. And then making sure that we're taking care of our bodies, we're taking care of the people around us, spending time that's fun and not just work. I think it's finding that healthy balance. The hustle mentality is too idolized, and it's great. It's fun, it's addicting. But what's that balance look like for you? I think it's a huge thing. If you can solve that, you're going to be in a good spot.
Well, I must have needed to record this podcast because I needed to hear all of that, right? The research piece, even though it looks like an opportunity, taking your time to really research the opportunity and count those costs, right? Before you engage in that, the willingness to pivot and having a team of people who are willing to pivot with you. And then the final one that really hit me, man, because I let myself get so stressed out last month planning an event. It was bad, man. I was pretty close to burnout, and then we traveled, and I also had jet lag as well. And it culminated in a lot of things that my body was telling me, listen, if you keep going like this, it's not going to end well for you. And so I'm so glad that you brought that up, because all of those things resonated with me. As much as we're on mission, we're trying to solve problems, you also have to take care of yourself. And that's a perfect segue to take a break, maybe take a nap. No, not a long nap. We just have a few messages, and we'll be right back for our final segment with Ethan Dewhurst of Vohnt. Support for the 614 Startups podcast comes from Book and Street. Book and Street provides finance and accounting solutions for startups in the Midwest and beyond. From strategic financial support to bookkeeping and everything in between, they've got your back office covered. Let their experienced team of finance and accounting professionals help your startup get it right from the start. Learn more at bookandstreet.com and set up your free 30-minute consultation with their team today. Today's episode is sponsored by the City of Dublin's Division of Economic Development. The City of Dublin provides world-class, tailored business services and resources to ensure the best possible environment for businesses to recruit talent and thrive. Because of this strategic focus and commitment to employer growth, Dublin is the only accredited economic development organization in the state of Ohio. The City of Dublin supports startups and entrepreneurs by offering targeted resources and training programs to grow companies that are financially sustainable, innovative, and committed to creating jobs. Learn how other businesses depend on Dublin. Visit thriveindublinohio.com. 614 Startups Nation, thank you so much for hanging in there with us. This is our final segment. I got to talk about something that I know you guys always have at the top of your mind, and that's raising capital, right? Because building a business takes money. So Ethan, the process of starting this company and funding it, what was that process like for you? Yeah,
so I mean, every founder's in kind of a different position. Vohnt started off as we have already had other successful businesses that we were able to kind of roll our capital into. And so that was really important because we were able to have the terms, on our side and really think through where do we need to put the initial investments, where do we need to, account for different spending, and we can have that early on control. As we grow and work on raising, we can have more of a product, not just an MVP, but an actual product. Especially that's really important for us is we didn't want to raise early because it's raising for a tech-enabled company versus just a SaaS company is a whole different process. It's a lot harder in some areas, and you got to be a lot more specific on which fund you go with or which firm you choose, and making sure that the investors make a lot of sense, that you can benefit them, they can benefit you, and not just being in a position where you just need to take money. And I think that's really important as we continue to raise, as other people that are listening are raising, is what do you need? What are you going to use the funds for? What's your next, if you get those funds, what's your next fundable milestone, as you think about your investors getting back out? And then really who would benefit from you? So obviously money has a huge value, but the right firm is going to have even more value with connections, advice, etc. So most firms, obviously, once they invest, they want a seat on the board too. So is that a quality seat on the board that can provide insight in your industry, connect you to kind of currently closed doors that they can open, and really think through the whole process, not just the zeros, I think is really important. So making sure that when companies do raise, that they do it kind of on their timetable. This is not a 1 month process. This is something that you constantly have conversations with, and then you do it when the time's right and not when you need it. Not when you need it. Do it before you need it to keep a little bit more leverage on the startup side.
Yeah. And, I think people have this misconception that investor money has less value, or you need to respect the obligation less, which is why people tend to defer to raising money from investors because, hey, they just have money, right? So if I take their money and this business doesn't work, oh, well. Why is it important as a founder to really take the obligation that you accept seriously? Treat it with the same reverence that you would if you took money from your grandmother or from somebody who that money is precious to them. Why is that important to have that mindset going into fundraising?
I think it's huge. You got to treat it like it's your own money. You got to treat it with the utmost care and diligence. And it comes down to intent. If you take a loss here, but you had the right intentions, that goes a long way. But if you're kind of like blindly spending, it comes down to reputation. If you have a business that fails, but you had a lot of success or potential, and then some elements came, like COVID hit, for example, and you might have failed under there. If you built the right foundation, you might be able to raise again for a different business, right? Because you had the right intentions, you built the right reputation. Whereas if you're looking to just have one startup, and if you get the reputation of just kind of being willy-nilly with other people's capital, you're not going to get that next round. And really what's really important in the startup community is next fundable milestones. The early investors, they can either cash out or keep going at that next fundable milestone. So what will that cash get you to, and what valuation can you raise there? And then you keep kind of growing. After a successful exit or whatever that may be, now you have a reputation where the next round is even easier. So are you treating those relationships with, really being intentional, building quality relationships with your investors, whether it be friends and family or VC firms? It's really important to continue to grow that relationship, build that reputation, so that way the trust continues to build, the checks continue to build.
Mhm. And for venture capitalists, they're looking at maybe growth, but from a founder perspective, you're looking at things like trust and relationship, and that being the core of your business. As you think about gradually progressing to a point, or as the business moves to a point where you need to raise capital, what are some milestones for you that will inform your decision about taking on venture capital? What are some key points in the business as you move forward where you'll say, you know what, I think we're ready for venture, and maybe venture will be excited to see this kind of deal?
Yeah, so the approach we've taken is really private funding, whether it be our founders or friends and family. And the reason we do that is early is because we want to continue to prove out what we're doing, because what we're doing is hard, it's tough. The terms might not be on our side early on. So the longer we can hold out, the more the terms can be on our side. And really, when we think about raising and are having these conversations right now and building those relationships right now, we're thinking about scaling. This airport's huge. It's really going to 10x our business. That's great. How do we 10x the airports? And so our goal of growing into regional footprint, then to a national footprint, is going to be through the airports. So when we think about the next fundable milestone, it's constant improvement of our technology, constant growth of our partnerships, and really building a national footprint. That's where, hey, we can cash roll this because we've been able to turn this into a profitable business. We can cash roll this to 1 airport, 2 airports, 3 airports. But then when we want to go to 50 airports, we can not just say, hey, we need the cash now. These are relationships we've been building with specific VC firms since day one, that we can say, okay, we feel this is a good fit, a good investment for you. We feel confident in. Look at the track record we've had for the past couple of years and the continued growth we've had with our own capital. We're ready to really steamroll this regionally and nationally, and those relationships really pay off.
And not to mention a bunch of excited airports once they see the numbers, right? Customers, right? Who are like, yeah, come on down. We see what you guys are doing. We see that these partnerships are working. And there's no better city than Columbus to be the first one. Test City, USA.
It's called
right?
that for a reason. It really is. I mean, it is the perfect city for our business and so many others. Just the ecosystem here has been fantastic. The support has been fantastic. And just like what is it called? The Columbus way of just helping each other out, being able to be a sounding board, have an open door policy from founder to founder. We all have crazy schedules, but somehow other founders always make time. And our job, I think, is to take advantage of that, and maybe a better word to say utilize that, and then pay it forward. Who are we helping? I think is really important. And just really embodying the Columbus way is a huge asset we have in this city. So how not only are we leveraging that for our own success, how are we participating that for other people's success?
Well, Ethan, man, this has been a fascinating conversation. I want to leave it right here, but I want to give you one more chance, man. Any parting thoughts, any parting words that you want to leave our listeners with?
Tell a story. You're solving a problem. You're creating a solution, whatever it may be. Tell a story. Connect with the customers. Our background's in marketing, so this is what we love to do. But what is the story of how does this impact your consumers? Frankly, no one cares about Vohnt, but they care about how Vohnt helps them. Make your consumer the hero of that story, and genuinely believe that not only in your marketing, but in yourself and your co-founders and your associates. Believe that the consumer is the hero. Your goal is to make their life easier in one way or the other, whether that be B2C or B2B. Tell a story, connect with them, make your consumer the hero, and it really makes your sales a whole lot easier.
All right, Ethan, man, thank you for coming on. I close out every podcast with my one thing, and this time around I have two. So it's, success breeds opportunities, but please evaluate those opportunities carefully and count the cost. And then the second thing is take care of yourself. And so if you're a listener out there and you're experiencing burnout or frustration, or maybe you're getting a little down with anxiety or depression, listen, reach out to someone. You don't have to deal with these issues alone. Reach out to your network, and there are a lot of resources out there. You don't have to go it alone, right? Like the support system we have in Columbus, where people are open and they're there to support. If you're part of this community, man, if you're having a hard time, reach out to someone. You are too precious, and the work that you're doing is important. All right, folks, that's another episode. You get a little bit of everything here. You get business, you get life advice, you get the whole nine when you listen to the 614 Startups podcast. Until next time, peace. That's a wrap, folks. You can find this and all our episodes on our website, 614startups.com, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Anchor, and all your favorite podcasting platforms. Don't forget to subscribe and write a review. If you'd like updates sent directly to your inbox, you can sign up for our weekly newsletter on the website. To engage in the 614 Startups community, follow us on LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at 614 Startups on all platforms, and join the conversation. For sponsorship opportunities and collaborations, email us at info@614startups.com.